Hey guys, it's Brandy with Eternal Harvest, and today I'm going to talk to you about how I use floor tiles to do this herringbone wall behind me. Took me about a day, pretty simple and easy, so stick around and I'll show you how. Okay, so I wanted to go through and just start with a quick list of things that you're going to need. I used these vinyl planks that I got at Lowe's. 40 come in a box, and they're the style selections, and I got the weatherwood, I think is what it's called, style, but I'll go ahead and link all of that in the description below. So you want to take the feet up your wall to find the area and times that by the feet, the width of your wall. So the length of your wall towards the width of your wall, and whatever number comes out there is how many square feet you're going to need of tiles for that wall. And usually the box will say how many square feet, like here is 60, and I needed 2 of these boxes. So you're going to need the floor tiles, the peel and stick floor tiles. A metal or a plastic will work too. Square here to help you keep level and start your herringbone pattern. I used this little box cutter knife, and that's all I needed to score and cut these tiles. And then a pencil, and then if you want it to be a permanent wall, you're gonna want some adhesive. I did not. I wanted to just tack it in with a few nails so that I can remove it later. And that's it. That's everything you're gonna need for this project. Oh, and a ladder and a wall. Okay, so one of the questions that I get asked the most is how do I measure and start a herringbone pattern? And it's more simple than you think. If you have a metal or plastic square, you're gonna need that and a pencil. And you wanna put that square right up to the ceiling and mark your line here. Then from that point, I turn the square over, so I have my 45. And actually I'm gonna line this up. Well, we want this part up against the ceiling, see that? So we have our straight line here. I'm gonna mark our 45 line here, and I'm gonna flip that square over and do the exact opposite line here, which makes an arrow or a triangle. Then, all you have to do is take the flat piece of your first one and line it right up to that corner on that line. And that's the start of your herringbone pattern. Then you'll butt that piece right up and then continue the pattern. And once you have, as long as this part here is straight, your pattern will be just fine. You also want to mark the center of your wall. This will go in the center of your wall where you want the pattern to begin. So the only thing you need to do in order to cut these tiles is to measure, score it with your knife, pick it up, and snap it in half. And that's it. Super easy, goes up super quick. So one of the things that I thought of when I began this entire process was, this will be so easy. These are peel and stick tiles. I'll stick them on the wall. They'll stick there. In fact, I was worried about them being too sticky and possibly pulling off the drywall. Well, after about 24 hours, I had several fall right off the wall after I had begun the process. And so the sticky stuff that comes on these peel and stick tiles is not enough of an adhesive to hold them on the wall forever. So depending on whether you want this to be a permanent feature wall or something that's temporary for a while that you can remove will depend on your course of action. For me, I wanted it to be temporary, and so I just took my nail gun and I tacked in, and I'll give you a close-up. I tacked in, let's see if you can see. You can't even see the nails. They're right into these places here, along here. It's a barnwood look, so I felt like nails tacked in would be just fine as far as look and aesthetic goes, and it was, and it's held them on perfectly, and this way I feel like I can remove it, I can fill those nail holes anytime I want to, and it should be fine. If you want it to be permanent, then you're gonna need to add some adhesive, and Gorilla Glue makes some really great adhesive, and I know there's a couple others. I think there might be a Tight Bond adhesive as well. And you would just put a little bit, like a dot here, a dot in the middle, and a dot at the end, and that would hold it there probably forever. You'd be looking at a pretty strong adhesive at that point, and it would stick for a really long time. So for me, it's temporary, it's tacked in, 3/4 inch 18 gauge nails. You could probably use staples or anything as long as it's really short, because you don't want it going through your drywall and hitting a power line or a water line or something important. So you want it just thick enough to go through the piece of vinyl that you have and then into the drywall, just a smidge. All right, so that was the first tip and the first thing that I learned while doing this whole wall. Okay, so throughout this project, there have been times where I need to take off just the teeniest, tiniest sliver or straighten out a cut. So I take my knife and I use a ruler or my square to mark the line. I score it with the knife where it needs to be, and then I use needle nose pliers. Let me see if I can do this so you can see it. And then I just break with my pliers. See that little sliver? All the way off, all the way up. And once it's bent out like that, it'll just rip right off, like that. So I just wanted to show you really quickly that that's the way you can get just a sliver off your cuts. So another thing that I want to mention here really quickly is that I decided to leave a little gap here and not pay too much attention to getting this perfectly straight along the line. Number one, because my wall is not straight. It is not plumb by any means, and I knew I'd have to score these pieces and it would make this process a lot more difficult. And number two, I wanted this to go fast, and I wanted to have kind of a really clean, framed-in look, almost like a picture. And so what I've decided to do was trim out my entire wall across the ceiling. Along each wall here will be a teeny tiny piece of trim, just a wood piece of trim that I'll get at Lowe's probably, and I'll either stain it to match or go with white. I haven't decided. And it'll just be a 1/4 inch by 1/2 inch, or maybe 1/4 by 1/4, depending on what I can find. And I'll just tack that in with my nail as well, all the way around. And that'll solve that problem. And it'll make this a much speedier process. However, I did pay really close attention along the bottom. I wanted to make sure that was nice and plumb with my kickboard on the floor. So, my molding. Anyway, another little tidbit of information. And that's it. My feature wall is complete. I love it so much, and thank you so much for tuning in and watching this tutorial. If you have any questions, as always, feel free to ask, DM, or email me. You can follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Thanks, guys.